Hey everyone, and welcome to today's fanfiction. Now recently I have done a few what ifs where we explore one character being reborn after their death, and you guys seem to be really enjoying them. So in today's video, we will dissect a popular request for what if Palpatine was reborn with all of his memories. In The Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine returns and wreaks havoc on the galaxy, only to be stopped and seemingly destroyed forever by his granddaughter, Rey. So let's say that when this happened, the Dark Lord was transported, not like 30 years prior when he transported his body into a clone after Vader threw him down the Death Star, but instead, he was transported back in time and woke up as an infant boy on Naboo. And before all of you flood the comments by saying somehow Palpatine returned, yes, he has returned for yet a third time, get over it, let's just get into the video. As everything fades white in Sheev Palpatine's vision, he wakes up as a boy in his palace on Naboo. He didn't understand what was happening. Was he in a vision, or was this the afterlife? Was this hell? Palpatine got out of bed to realize that he is 5 years old, able to walk and talk and communicate with everyone, but he was just a small boy. He went through his day as normal, trying to figure out what was happening. He recalled only moments earlier being destroyed by Rey and losing everything he had worked so hard to build again. What shocked Palpatine was when he woke up the next day, still in his vision, this dream. This continued for weeks on end, and very soon, Palpatine began to realize that this wasn't a dream. He was alive, real, born again. Somehow, Palpatine had returned. He would bide his time, accepting the fact that people would call him Sheev again, which hadn't happened in almost a half century. At this moment, I don't really know what Palpatine would be thinking. Probably a mix of anger and annoyance of losing to the scavenger girl, but then also understanding that he has been given the golden opportunity to use his knowledge to regain everything he fought so hard for. He still had all of his memories from his old life, and he could use his lessons to his advantage. Roughly 14 years later, Palpatine meets a man named Hago Damask, whom eventually reveals himself as Darth Plagueis when he elected to take Palpatine as his apprentice. Sheev would be dubbed Sidious, and his training in the dark side would begin. Unbeknownst to Plagueis, Palpatine had been secretly training all of his life, and as his body developed and grew, he practiced his Force techniques. This meant within the first couple of years of his training, when Palpatine was 22 years old, it was almost like he was as powerful as he was in the original timeline. More powerful perhaps than with his younger and stronger body. Plagueis became infatuated by this, not understanding how this boy could be so powerful, but he was proud and assumed it was due to his incredible training. Palpatine would never reveal the nature of what had occurred. In the original timeline, Palpatine was dismissive of Plagueis' experiments and manipulations of the Force, believing they were a waste of time, that his master could better his time by honing his skills and developing a stronger plan to defeat the Jedi, not simple lab tricks. But as the Dark Lord grew older in his previous life, he began to realize Plagueis' intrigue, and so he now encouraged Plagueis to delve into the Force. Something about Palpatine that he always knew was true was that Plagueis was a far greater scientist, and the moon had been the closest to finding the secrets to immortality, learning how he can heal others if he needs, but never truly how to save himself from death. But perhaps if given a longer time frame, he would discover the secrets. At least, this is what comes from James Luceno's Plagueis novel, which is a great read to anyone who hasn't yet. As it is revealed in the Rise of Skywalker novelization, the reason that Palpatine was so surprised and fearful of Rey and Kylo's dyad bond is because he and Plagueis had attempted to create a bond like this decades prior, but they never succeeded. I believe now, with Palpatine's increased knowledge of the bond and its particular subsect of the Force, that he and Plagueis could discover the secrets. He would work constantly with Plagueis as they delve into the mysteries, through endless trials with lab animals, and then onto human trials with Padawan Jedi that they abducted. Whilst on missions, they did it. The key was that they weren't combining two individuals into one Force being, but instead connecting them, making them partners. Sisters of the Force, by changing the molecular structure of how midichlorians interact with the person's bloodstream. An artificial dyad bond can be created. Subsequently, Anakin Skywalker is born in 41 BBY, and Palpatine convinces his master that this is the moment they were looking for. Anakin was the chosen one, and destined to have the most power in the Force ever. Palpatine's plan was coming into fruition without Plagueis even realizing it. On the twin suns of Tatooine, Palpatine and Plagueis abduct Anakin as a newborn. He would immediately be trained as a Sith, but more importantly, Plagueis and Palpatine create a dyad force connection between Anakin and Palpatine. The Sith couldn't believe how powerful Anakin became in such a short period of time. Much of this training was spent honing his lightsaber skills, force abilities, but of course, mastering the dyad bond with Palpatine. They learned how to communicate with each other through the Force, passing objects, thoughts, and information simultaneously with the flick of their finger. It was magnificent, and Plagueis exclaimed how he had never seen anything like it. But of course, Palpatine had, but he kept that information to himself. Alongside Anakin's training, Palpatine would enter into politics and rise the ranks of the Republic until he is eventually elected as Supreme Chancellor. In Palpatine's mind, his original plan worked, and although it took time, he was able to take over the galaxy and rule unopposed for 20 years. From an outside point of view, he shouldn't change anything, but it was because of Anakin's light side tendencies that he lost his rule, and he would now ensure that there would be no light left in Anakin to shine through. The Skywalker boy is taken as an infant, and so there were no attachments to be learned, and like Maul, his entire childhood was full of dogmatic Jedi stories, growing a hatred between Anakin and the Jedi. He hated them, and he wanted them dead. He learned all about the Sith of old, and their heroic battles against the Jedi Order, and how the Order now rules the galaxy in their place. It had to stop. Palpatine's major decision that differs from the original timeline would be not killing his master Darth Plagueis. This is because Palpatine spent years and years of his previous life searching for the secrets to immortality, and he couldn't find them. Yes, he kept himself alive after his fall on the Death Star, but that was to a clone body. What Palpatine desired was to live forever in his current form. Palpatine bit his ego and knew that Plagueis is the only being who could discover this. As Palpatine ruled as Chancellor, a young boy, say 18 years of age, entered the political arena. He was a mysterious but charismatic prodigy, mentored personally by Palpatine. The public is told that Anakin Skywalker is a brilliant young political mind, an orphan from the Outer Rim with an uncanny ability to rally people to his side. Palpatine ensures that Anakin grows up in the public eye, gaining fame and admiration while also being groomed in secret as a Sith. Alongside Palpatine's love by the people of the Republic, Anakin became cherished by a treasure by the gods. Palpatine orchestrates conflicts that destabilize the galaxy and make the common people grow poor, hungry, and completely disrupt how the Republic is being governed, making the Jedi look extremely unpopular. As for the Jedi Order, they become suspicious of Palpatine's rapid ascent and Anakin's mysterious origins. It is very uncommon for someone to join politics, and within the space of a couple of years, Anakin is already at the top. Anakin was a part of Palpatine's cabinet and made strong decisions for the state of the galaxy. This would eventually grow, and although the Jedi tried to stop it, Anakin became co-chancellor alongside Palpatine. All the while, Skywalker and Palpatine continued to train and learn more about the dyad force bond. They meditated together, focusing on their shared power, feeling each other's thoughts and emotions like they were one mind. They practiced in secret, fighting as a single unit, moving in perfect sync without speaking. Through their dyad, they could pull energy from each other, heal wounds, and even see glimpses of the future. Their bond grew so powerful that they could share strength when one was weak or overwhelmed. With this connection, they became unstoppable, a terrifying duo that no Jedi or enemy could match. It was like the Force itself bent around them, amplifying their power and making them something no one could stand against. When their power reached its peak, they were able to teleport to each other at will. If Palpatine was in his office and Anakin was studying in the abandoned industrial facility on the other side of the planet, with the wave of a finger, either one could transport to the other. Finally, the Clone Wars would begin, and with it came the collapse of the Republic's stability. Anakin and Palpatine engineered the war's beginning, ensuring its chaos served their ultimate plans. On the other side of the conflict, Plagueis would remain the main foe. The Sith had to keep Anakin and Palpatine hidden, but could use Plagueis as a pawn for sacrifice. His skill in battle was legendary, unmatched by even the most seasoned Jedi. The galaxy was consumed by fear and uncertainty, and the Jedi, once revered as protectors, became scapegoats. The people of the Republic turned against them, blaming the Order for the unending violence. In stark contrast, the Chancellors, Palpatine and Anakin, were seen as saviors. Palpatine remained in the capital, his wisdom guiding the Senate and keeping the Republic from falling apart entirely, while Anakin took on a more direct role, leading from the front lines as a Republic general. Obviously, he didn't display any force powers or have a lightsaber, but him being there sent a message. Anakin's victories were swift and decisive, cementing his status as a hero of the people. Soldiers idolized him, senators praised his leadership, and the citizens of the Republic celebrated him as the beacon of hope in dark times. His ability to inspire was unmatched. His speeches resonated with the Senate and the people alike. His speeches in the Senate painted him as a man of the people, one who understood their suffering and would do whatever it takes to bring an end to the conflict. While the Jedi Order faced growing hatred, Anakin's reputation soared. Palpatine watched with quiet satisfaction as Anakin rallied the galaxy under their control. Together they were unstoppable. Two leaders hailed as the greatest in the Republic's history, guiding the galaxy towards a future shaped entirely by their will. Despite his growing popularity, the Jedi Order grows increasingly wary of Anakin. His unorthodox methods, strong connection to Palpatine, who they already suspected of colluding with the Separatists, and his dismissal of the Council's advice to be more diplomatic. The Council began to view him as a dangerous and unpredictable figure. At least for Palpatine, it was obvious he had wisdom and life experience to him, but not Anakin. Anakin's relationship with the Jedi becomes increasingly strained as he undermines their authority and leads an authoritarian style, making him beloved by the masses, but despised by those who see him as a threat to the Republic's integrity and the Jedi Code. After years of warfare, there is enough discontent in the galaxy for the Sith to take over. Palpatine would use the same plan as in his previous life, with a few refinements. On a cold winter's night, Anakin goes to the Jedi Council chambers where all 12 Masters sit, discussing the state of the galaxy and the war at hand. Anakin merely observed as he waited for his most opportune moment. When the time is right, Anakin initiates a detonation of a bomb and simultaneously uses his Force Dire connection with Palpatine to disappear in the middle of the room and reappear next to the Chancellor, who is at the feet of the Jedi Temple. The entire wing of the Council chambers is blown to pieces, along with every single member inside. The entire Council is dead, and with them, Order 66 is executed, and Anakin, Palpatine, and Plagueis storm the temple and slaughter the Jedi. In the Sith Lord's twisted mind, he wasn't a part of this attack in his previous life, confined to his office as Anakin did his dirty work. But this time, he desired to be there. The Sith Lords obliterate the Jedi Order and together take over the galaxy. Palpatine had done it, reclaimed what was his. With Palpatine's memories of his past failures intact, he made the necessary alterations to the Empire to ensure he had more control and more stability. Entire star systems were brought under his control through a mix of fear, manipulation, and raw power. Those who resisted were obliterated without mercy, serving as a warning to others who dared to defy their rule. At the core of their reign was the reimagined Sith Order, one designed not for secrecy, but for dominance. The ancient rule of two was discarded, replaced by a new hierarchy, where strength and ambition thrived under their watchful eyes. At the apex stood Palpatine, Plagueis, and Anakin, the three emperors. Below them, a dark council of Sith Lords governed the galaxy's regions, and beneath these lords were legions of apprentices, assassins, and dark acolytes who carried out their will, spreading fear and chaos wherever they wanted. New Sith temples were constructed on desolate and forbidden worlds, places steeped in the dark side. These temples became training grounds where initiates endured brutal trials, mastering forbidden techniques and honing their hatred into raw power. The Sith Order became an unyielding machine of destruction, its members united by their devotion to the dark side, yet constantly driven by their individual thirst for power. Every aspect of life, from politics to trade, was bent to their will. Palpatine and Anakin ensured that no rebellion could rise, weaving spies and informants into every corner of society as the Sith tightened their grip on the galaxy. Plagueis finally achieved what had eluded even the most powerful Sith in history. After decades of obsession, study, and experimentation, he uncovered the ultimate secret: immortality. Through a forbidden manipulation of the Force, he learned how to anchor his essence to his physical form, ensuring he did not die. The discovery was at the culmination of countless sacrifices, dark rituals, and experiments fueled by the suffering of the galaxy. Plagueis shared his discovery with Palpatine and Anakin, and together they performed the ritual that would grant them eternal life. With immortality secured, they no longer feared time or defeat. They could afford to be patient, and their plans spanned centuries instead of years. Palpatine, in particular, used his second life to perfect his rule. The galaxy was now Palpatine's playground, and he twisted it to serve the Sith's will. Hope was extinguished, resistance was futile, and chaos reigned supreme. The Sith had won, and not just for a generation, but for all eternity. The darkness became the galaxy's eternal reality, and no light could ever break through again. Hey guys, make sure to check out our saber shop, Fantasy Sabers, for the best NeoPixel sabers on the market. We have a bunch of perfect replicas and other insane Padawan sabers for sale. Check them out on our website, first link in the description below, and grab your own one today. If you enjoyed today's video, you must watch What If Obi-Wan Didn't Have the High Ground and What If Plo Koon Found Anakin on Tatooine. Please check out our saber shop, Fantasy Sabers, for the largest collection of replicas, Padawan sabers, and more. The link is first in the description. Thank you all for watching, and may the Force be with you.